Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Deep Threat Sports Network. We have the quad box going for you here tonight. Looking forward to that to see what everybody has to say. We did just wrap up the Big 12. We are moving on to the Big 10 win totals. This is one of the best conferences in football. Really looking forward to this. There's a lot of parity going on, I think. I think there's a lot of new faces and some teams that can really take things over and kind of run the Big 10 maybe. So looking forward to seeing what everybody has to say on this show tonight. This will be part one. Next week, we will have part two. Then we'll move on to the SEC. Some exciting news for us here. We're going to get out right out of the gate in this episode. We are now on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts at Deep Threat Sports. And make sure you're looking for us on the Pick Six Previews magazine that comes out early July. We will have a feature in the Missouri Tigers page. Really exciting stuff for us on that. Really looking forward to that and can't wait to see our names popping up in a huge magazine that everybody that's a huge college football fan usually follows. Really, really good stuff for us. Fellas, how we doing? Everybody good? Nolan, I know you have a question for us. And if everybody's good, Nolan, you can kind of take us away on that question. Looking forward to the question.
Yes, sir. So with some of the new NIL era stuff, I had a question pop up this week. Who is the newest team that you think will be a perennial contender? Not win a national championship. Who do you think is going to be a mainstay that we'll talk about every year for the college football playoff? Now, the stipulation, you can't take the top four SEC teams. You can't take the top four Big Ten teams. You can't take Clemson, Miami, Florida State, and you can't take Notre Dame. So it's got to be somebody new that we don't talk about every year. But who do you think is going to either step up the NIL game or this new clearinghouse stuff, kind of level off the playing field, and people are going to take advantage?
Bryant, are you ready to go? I mean, I have a couple answers for this, and I guess I'll throw a couple teams out. Yeah, I'll throw a couple teams out and just see what you guys think on this. I mean, a couple teams that come to mind. I don't feel like LSU can be in this conversation, right? I feel like they're kind of always towards the top of this conversation.
Yeah, no LSU.
I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe like an Ole Miss or a South Carolina. I think those are two teams that are truly going to buy in. You've seen Ole Miss already dive into the portal at extreme rates the last couple of seasons. They're not afraid to spend some money. When you think outside of the SEC in the Big Ten, we saw a team like Texas Tech do it this year. I think that would make them a perennial contender just because they are in the Big 12. I think they can make their way to the top of that Big 12, run the Big 12, and do good things for that conference and find their way to some playoff berths. Now that this playoff expansion has happened, it looks like it's going to get bigger. So I think they are a team in the Big 12 that could probably run the table in that conference with the amount of money that they're willing to throw at this thing. But in the SEC, yeah, South Carolina, Ole Miss comes to mind. I don't want to be a homer and throw out a Mizzou here. I don't say they're going to be a perennial power, over and over, but they have shown they're not afraid to spend some money. I read an article today how they were talking about how most of this money is going to go to the football and basketball programs. That's kind of to be expected, and I'm excited to know that they're all the way bought into, their big-time programs. So those are the kind of teams that come to mind for me. Off the top, nothing really out of the ACC, to be honest with you. I think you could see an SMU. I know you saw them make the playoffs last year. They have some money to spend too. I think they could kind of be a familiar face. I don't think they're going to be there all the time, but I think they'll find their way to the top of the ACC often. Bryant, Dave, I don't know if you guys have anything coming to mind from the Big Ten. For me in the Big Ten, it's the same schools, the same names, right? I don't think anybody in the Big Ten is going to make a run at that.
You kind of mentioned all the teams I was going to bring up, Colin, and I think those are for sure on the list. My only other teams I think I would consider are maybe schools where there's not many professional teams in those states, and all of the donors and the people in that state are going to back their prospective college teams. I'm talking like a Nebraska, an Arkansas, possibly BYU. They may have not played the greatest on the field, but this is going to benefit them the most because they don't have a professional team. Everybody watches Arkansas, everybody watches Nebraska, and they're going to put all their eggs in that basket, and those eggs are in the form of money. And so they're going to be able to get as many players as they, probably should want and can want. So I agree with you. I think those are the teams you should put on the list, Colin, but I think the teams, like I mentioned, with no professional teams in those respective states are going to definitely have a shot as well.
I could definitely see in Nebraska. That's a good one. Dave, what do you got?
We kind of talked about this earlier, in the week. I think Texas Tech, because I truly think that, as much as I hate for this to happen, but NIL is gonna end up, being a very huge influence in college football. I don't know if it's going to be good necessarily, a good influence, but it's really going to come down to who's willing to spend the money. Because when you're a high school athlete and you're coming out and you have the option to go anywhere, and you're also looking at it as a high school player, like, what if I don't make it to the NFL? Unless you're one of those guys that's going to be a top guy. But let's remember, in college football there is no one and done, so you got to be there 3 years anyhow. So you're probably more thinking like, let me go ahead and secure the bag, get some money. And Texas Tech, what is it, 55 million is their NIL fund? Not to mention, let's throw in the fact that Patrick Mahomes is an alumni there. He may throw more money in there, or they could do one of those things where it's like, hey, if you come here, you'll get to meet Patrick Mahomes. Heck, if you're a quarterback, they're like, hey, Patrick Mahomes is going to do some offseason stuff with you because you're part of Texas Tech University. And I just think between the money between Patrick Mahomes, and I just think college football is ultimately going to turn to who's going to offer me the most money. I mean, we've seen it just in these last year. How many people have turned? Carson Beck pulling out of the draft to go to Miami, like secure the bag. All these people talk about how maybe Quinn Ewers should have just taken the bag instead of going to the NFL because he's making less money in the NFL. So I think for me, I would be shocked if Texas Tech doesn't. And I think with the amount of money they're spending, boosters and everybody that's what they're expecting. They're wanting to make it to a college football playoff, and not even just make it, make a good run at it. I don't know that they necessarily are going to win it in the next 5 years, but within the next 5 years, I expect them to be a dominant powerhouse.
Well, with the Patrick Mahomes thing, real quick, I listened to an interview today with Dia Bell, a top-rated quarterback coming out of high school in this next year's recruiting session, and he immediately talked about how he likes watching Patrick Mahomes, mimicking some of his game from Patrick Mahomes. I think you see all these new generation quarterbacks with the new style of quarterback play. Yeah, that's a huge influence for Texas Tech. Second thing I had before I kick this back to Nolan to wrap this question up, I want to give Dave a little bit of credit because, Dave, you do have 3 kids, so you can't do this show in your house tonight. And the fact that you're doing this outside shows real dedication in this 110-degree heat. That's impressive. We got a little noise in the background. I like it. I like the dedication from you tonight, sitting out there sweating to do this show. Nolan, wrap this thing up.
Only one team that you guys didn't mention that I had thought of, Arizona State. Everybody's moving out of California, moving down to Arizona. There's a lot of former NFL players that are now living in Arizona. Most of their kids, highly rated recruits, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but all highly rated recruits. I think you could potentially see like an Arizona State kind of turn it up a little bit, I guess I would say. And the other thing I was kind of thinking about was Nebraska, yes, but then South Carolina, like you said, Colin, I think one of the best ways, now that I'm thinking more about it, one of the best ways to build a team in the NIL transfer era, you better get your big boys along the line of scrimmage in high school. You develop them, you keep them. Let's get some star athletes out on the corners. Those are the guys that typically are transferring anyway. If you can get your big boys in the middle, develop them every year, and then get those fast guys, the playmakers in the transfer portal, I think that's kind of the ticket to being perennially good, like we're talking about.
Yeah, South Carolina, I mean, those roots are deep. Great fan base, great place to go watch a game, great place to watch a game on TV, an exciting fan base. And I think they do have things going in the right direction. And looking forward to talking about them on the SEC show, because I think they can probably kind of kickstart that thing even more this year. You saw them make a run late last year, have their name in contentions for a playoff conversation. And I think we can probably find them into that conversation again this season. So love that question. If anybody has any comments or anything to regard that question, leave a comment, let us know. And we will definitely get to that. If we missed a team, hey, let us know. If you have anybody that you're thinking in mind, let us know. Looking forward to that. So now moving on to the Big Ten win totals. All these win totals are per DraftKings from June 23rd. So it has been, I think, 2 days now when we're recording this. Last I looked, but I took a quick glance today, and most of these, I think all of these actually are exactly the same still. So we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off with Minnesota. The Minnesota win total is sitting at over under 7.5, the over plus 130, the under 155. A couple things about Minnesota here, then I'll kick it to one of you guys. PJ Fleck there is the head coach, very consistent head coach, had a 7-5 season last season. You got the 35th ranked portal class, lost 3 to 4 all conference guys to the draft. You return Coy Parrish, a defensive back. That's a huge keep for them. Max Brosmer also off to the draft. You kind of have a quarterback situation going on. It looks like you have redshirt freshman Drake Lindsey. He was a 3-star prospect out of high school. He's a big kid, going to be a first-time starter for them this year in college. This defense lost loads of talent. They really need Anthony Smith, the big defensive end, to be a massive player for them along the trenches. And Darius Taylor, a very good mainstay at the running back position for this offense. So Minnesota has quite a few losses, retained some talent too, though. Should be an interesting season for them. Bryant, what are you seeing with Minnesota this season? How are you feeling about them?
I got them barely covering here at over 8. I think Minnesota can be a sneaky team this season, and they have a rather juicy schedule, in my opinion. But you mentioned the quarterback play. I think it's going to come down to if Drake Lindsey can step in his first college football season as a starter and make some noise. I still think they're going to lean on the defense quite a bit like they did last year. They do still have 8+ guys returning on that side of the ball, and they were 5th in the nation as far as offense was concerned last season. So if they can continue that, that will definitely help take some pressure off of him. Their offenses wasn't great last year, and they lost a few guys that they had to replace. So they only scored 25 points 3 times last year. They did win those games, but they did have the 5 losses. So they're going to try to improve and cover this season. I got them winning the neutral game at Wrigley against Northwestern and only losing to Nebraska at home. But they got some tough away games at Ohio State, Iowa, and Oregon. I think they dropped those. So I have them at 8-4. I think they could easily possibly maybe a little better, but also definitely could be a lot worse in my opinion. So kind of a tough team to track as far as predicting 2025 for them, but I got them barely covering.
Yeah, not an awful schedule, not a great schedule. Dave, how are you feeling about Minnesota?
I'm kind of with Bryant. I think they'll go 8-4. I mean, they're consistently getting 7 wins. They're a consistent team. They're never amazing. Not the most fun team to watch, but they consistently can get 7 wins. So when you have that as a baseline, I think, with Darius Taylor, I think they're kind of going to depend on him very heavily. Hopefully they can find some more offense there other than him. Kind of like you mentioned, the quarterback position is kind of up in the air. I think they will go 8-4 simply because they seem to produce. They should get a little better this year. Ideally, I mean, their defense wasn't. They got a new defensive coordinator, so that'll make it. We'll see how that kind of plays out. That doesn't always work out, even if you bring in a good defensive coordinator. It just depends on how he's going to mesh with the players, how he's going to mesh with the team. But yeah, I think they'll go 8-4. So I definitely would agree with Bryant for sure.
Nolan, what about you?
8-4 as well, believe it or not. But I have, instead of the Iowa loss, I have them beating Iowa, losing to Nebraska. So just kind of a flip-flop there, not a whole lot different, I guess I would say. But I believe in their coaching staff. It seems like every year their offensive coaching staff, one year they're pass heavy and they just lean on their quarterback. The next year, which I think this is the year, they're going to lean on their running back a little bit more. I truly think Darius Taylor is going to be in contention for one of the best running backs at the end of the year in all of college football. He had over 50 catches last year. He was actually their leading receiver last year and leading rusher all in the same year. He was pretty much their entire offense. I don't expect much different. And then you hit on Coy Parrish. I think he's going to be one of those guys that you really got to lean on pretty heavily. And the other kind of point that brings me to the 8-4, potentially 9-3 if they pick up that Nebraska win, their efficiency numbers, offense and defense both, they ranked inside of the top 45 last year. They're returning a decent amount of people. It's not like they're, revamping the whole offense or revamping the whole defense. If they can stay at top 45 again, offense and defense this year, and maybe potentially bump up that special teams, I was looking up a couple stats that I heard. They haven't scored a punt return touchdown since 2018. I think Coy Parrish back there, he almost did it twice last year. I think this is the year he's going to do it.
Wow, I honestly didn't expect all three of you to be 8-4, tickling 9-3. I actually come in, I guess I'll be the odd man out on this. I come in on the under I am at 7-5. Could see an 8-4. Could also see a 6-6. You know how I always go through this, like I say every episode. I have Buffalo Northwestern State sure wins. I have Purdue as sure win. I have Cal, Rutgers, Northwestern as should wins. That right there gives them, was that 1, 2, 3, 4? That gives them 6. After that, though, I think it's a little dicey. I obviously no chance against Ohio State. I have them as a sure loss against Nebraska and Iowa both. I also have a sure loss against Oregon. So right there, I'm sitting 6-4. The Michigan State and Wisconsin game, both coin flip games for me. Give them 1, lose them 1. I have them coming in at 7-5. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think this is a team, to your guys' point, could trend in a good direction. I think this is also a team that doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of offensive talent outside of Darius Taylor. And I think if you bottle up Darius Taylor, I don't know what else they're going to be able to do. I think they're a team that if they get down in some football games, not a team that can really score a ton of points that will to get back in the game. That's my only concern with them. So I am at 7-5. I think the line is right. 7.5. This is one that I would honestly stay away from. But this is why we do this thing. All three of you on the over. I am on the under. Eileen, stay away. Moving on. You guys go with Minnesota. Anything else?
I was just going to say props to PJ Fleck. I mean, I'm sure he's gotten job
Great
offers
coach.
to go elsewhere. I think he's been there 8 or 9 years now. So you don't see that in college football anymore unless you're Kirby Smart, Dabo, or somebody along those lines. So props to him. Great coach year in and year out. So let's see what Minnesota can do this season.
You don't see that anymore unless you're at a powerhouse in Purdue.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at a mid-tier, maybe mid to like not upper, but like in between mid and upper. If there's one of those, like that's where Minnesota kind of is in the Big Ten. So yeah, that good thing for pointing that out because PJ Fleck's a mainstay, man. He's a great coach. Moving on to Nebraska, the over/under for Nebraska sitting at 7.5. The over -115, the under -105. So pretty dicey right there. Not really knowing which direction to go for the odds makers. A couple things with Nebraska. Dylan Raiola at quarterback was one of the top-rated quarterbacks coming out of the class last year. Was a true freshman starter. Tries to be too much like Patrick Mahomes. We kind of ripped him on this show quite a bit for that. Hey, man, be yourself. Play your own style of game. Do your own thing. Matt Rule is the coach there. I think it's time for him to get this thing rolling. We talked last year a little bit how Matt Rule comes into like year 2 of his schools that he coaches at, usually produces some pretty successful teams. I think this is year 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is year 3, though. It's time now. I'm kind of buying into it a little bit. I sent a funny text in our group the other day. Talk me out. I don't want to be a spoiler, but talk me out of this record because I have this team looking pretty good, to be honest with you. The number 13 portal class, they were 6-6 last year with Raiola as a true freshman. They get a Dane Key, wide receiver from Kentucky. That's a great ad for this team. Great weapon for Raiola. This team did lose quite a bit of talent in the portal as well, though. But you bring in Deshaun McCullough, transfer linebacker from Oklahoma, Malcolm Hartsock, who was a stud there last year in this backfield. I think this is a pretty fairly talented team on both sides of the ball. So really anxious to see what you guys have to say about this. Dave, how are you feeling about Nebraska?
Man, listen, and this is going to be wild, okay? I'm going to go ahead and lead with that. I think
Hang on, time out. Is this like a Colorado for you this year? Because I like it.
Hey, Nebraska might be my team to put money on this year. Listen, I don't think it's really wild to say that Nebraska gets 1 or 2 losses, then that's it. I mean, as long as Dylan Raiola can perform to the level that he should be, I think that Nebraska, I mean, their schedule's really not that bad if you look at it. Their hardest game is at Penn State, which, let's be real, that's going to be a loss. Like, it should be anyhow. And then the next one is maybe home at Michigan or Michigan at home. So they don't really have that bad of a schedule. Dylan Raiola can step up and, because I think a lot of what was going on last year was he just tried to do too much, without having that maturity there as an experienced quarterback. So if he can, nail it down, and just make throws, run as he's supposed to.
He was a guy that, like, if they were down like 14, he was trying to get it back on one drive, which is impossible, right?
Exactly.
I mean, so like that. To your point, me and you are totally aligned on this. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think Michigan this is going to be on our next episode, or maybe it's this one, I don't remember. But I don't think Michigan – like, why are we scared of Michigan? Somebody explain to me why Nebraska should be scared of Michigan at home. They shouldn't be.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Michigan's got quarterback questions all around them. Yes, congratulations. You do bring in a number 1 quarterback. But some shit that I'm reading out there, they're not even 100% that he's starting. So don't love that. Then you go out another quarterback in Jake Garcia, who's played at every team in the country. Like, that tells me you still have questions at your quarterback position. You lost a ton on your defense. You lost 2 first-round picks on your defensive line. Why are we scared of Michigan? I don't think Michigan's their second toughest game. I think it's Penn State, and I think they have a tough game against the USC and Iowa. I think those could go either direction. I give them the Michigan win at home. This is a really manageable schedule for a Nebraska football team who I expect to take massive leaps. And if they don't, Matt Rule, you are in serious trouble. Like, your team went all in on Dylan Raiola. You spent all this money. It's time to go right now. So I'm at 9-3. Since I'm going to go, since I'm aligning with you, Dave, but I did have them losing to Penn State, USC on a coin flip loss, and actually I gave them an Iowa loss just because that game was like one of those fishy football games where, like, it's Iowa. You know, I know they do have Iowa at home. I could see them winning the Iowa game and then maybe losing the Michigan game. But I'm comfortable at 9-3 for this Nebraska football team. Bryant, Nolan. Bryant looked like he was smiling a second ago, like he wants to rip this highly anticipated Nebraska team apart here.
No, man, I got them at 9 wins too. I have the losses the same as you: USC, Iowa, and Penn State. Personally, I like Matt Rule as a coach. He was horrible in the NFL, but he's amazing in college. This is year 3. His stops at Temple and Baylor, the team's made massive jumps in year 3, so I expect to see the same here. But I think it all comes down to Raiola. I mean, he could not complete a pass downfield, and when he did, it was like you were mentioning, trying to go 14 points on one play. So if he can move the ball downfield effectively, 15-plus yards, get that average depth of target up, Dane Key's going to be a perfect fit for that. I think this team could win a lot of games. This is a really juicy schedule. But the one thing with Matt Rule is every team he's coached with, including Nebraska last year, they've been horrible in November. And he's got some pretty tough games here in November with Penn State, Iowa, and USC. So that's why I gave them the 3 losses. Can they turn that around late in the season and not give that hiccup? I think they easily could. But this Nebraska team is very, very loaded. They're just very unproven as far as on the field play. So let's see if they can, go out there and showcase the talent that they have and win some games. And I think they do.
Secretly tough place to play too. Nolan?
Yeah.
Be aligned with us here.
Listen, boys, I can't talk you out of 9-3, but can I talk you to a 10-2, 11-1 season?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
So I have Raiola was better at the end of the season. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Do you know what the number one thing that changed as soon as he started to become good?
His haircut.
No, but that would be a good one. No, they gave play calling duties to Dana Holgorsen, and then he started completing 70% of his passes. So he wasn't trying to go for the 14-point play every time when they started getting down. If Dana Holgorsen can just talk him into taking what the defense will give him, I'm not even asking for 70% completion because that's astronomically good. Give me 62% completion, and you. Like you said, Colin, I don't know why we're scared of Michigan at home. It'd be different if you're playing in the big house. But you're not playing in the big house. USC, up to that point, I think you're going to be undefeated. I think you're just going to carry that momentum into the USC game. I think your big question is going to be the Penn State-Iowa game. I'm going to give them a loss at Penn State. Can you regroup, and can you beat an Iowa team that looks like they're going to have better quarterback play this year? Iowa, you can't score 14 against them this year and expect to win the game. I think it's going to take maybe not a whole lot more, but it's going to take probably 21.
For me, too, if you look at this schedule, they have 4 games away and 1 neutral site. The Cincinnati game at Arrowhead, that plays into Nebraska's hand, in my opinion.
That's basically home
away games. Away games, you play Maryland, Minnesota, UCLA. You might have like the Minnesota game. They may drag you in the mud. It may be like a hard fought win. That's going to prove what kind of team you are if you can get out of there with a win.
I like the bye week right after the UCLA game. You get the long plane ride out to California, and then you have an entire week just rest. I'm not saying just don't prepare for Penn State. Still prepare for Penn State like you're going to win, but you get some extra rest to get over that jet lag then.
Well, and the thing with the Penn State game, too, is if I'm Nebraska, I'm honestly kind of happy that game's on the road because you're not spoiling a home game against Penn State. Because I think Penn State's still going to whoop your ass whether you're at home or away. Now, there's a lot of question marks with Penn State. Does Drew Howard play better? All those things. But Penn State's a better damn football team. So this is a beautiful schedule for Matt Rule in Nebraska and Dylan Raiola. And like I said a second ago, at the end of this season, if things are spiraling, like Matt Rule, buddy, you are on the hottest seat in the country. And we may revisit that at the end of the season. I hope not. I am going to tell you right now, I'm going to make a real push for this to be on our Book It segment. Over, lock, win total. I am going to hammer over 7.5 on Nebraska. So I'm glad we're on a line on this one.
I was just about to say this needs to be on that list for sure.
This is 100%
the other part
on
is
the list.
the other part is schedule wise. I mean, if you're looking at it and your only loss is Penn State, say you beat USC, say you beat Michigan, the teams that we're talking about, and your only loss is Penn State, you get a home game against Iowa, which should be a good game, right? But if you win that game at home, you're probably going to the Big Ten championship. There is no bigger stakes. Like you guys said, like Bryant said about the no professional team thing, this is it right here. Everybody in the entire state of Nebraska will be there.
I mean, that is the team I'm talking about with no in-state professional teams. I mean, all that people care about in Nebraska is the Cornhuskers.
Yep. Bring back the black shirts.
They turn this thing around, man, and they're talking a playoff run. Dude, they're the owners. They're going to back the Brinks truck up to this stadium and be like, whatever you want, we got it. And then that's where, to your point, to the question we started this episode with, you can see this team take off. I mean, seriously. So I thought I was crazy I thought you guys were going to rip me apart for the 9-3 thing. And hey, this is awesome. I love it. Go Nebraska. I can't stand you. Big things coming for that team though this season. Moving on to Illinois. Hey, this is another team. Can't stand, but I think big things are coming for Illinois football. They're sitting at over under 8.5. The over's plus 120. The under's minus 148. I'm going to go first on this one just because I haven't really gone first a whole hell of a lot. Can I talk you guys into a 10-2? This is a Brett Bielema-led football team who's really damn good coach. Luke Altmaier, one of the best returning quarterbacks in the country, I think. You know, you do lose Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant. Those are some big losses. But you do have a veteran offensive line and Geske, Kreutz, and Priestley. Really, really good offensive line right there to keep Altmaier upright on his feet. They were 9-3 last season. Can't say they came out of nowhere, but nobody saw 9-3 coming. At least I did not see 9-3 coming. They have extremely high expectations. That's my only worry for Illinois football. They're almost kind of like in Mizzou. When expectations are high, you fall flat on your face. So as long as they can answer the expectations, and I think Brett Bielema was the guy, especially with Luke Altmaier. Love that. Josh McCray transfers out of the running back position to Georgia. Saw all kinds of shit in the headlines today about how Illinois is going after Georgia for tampering with Josh McCray to get him to come be the running back there. Anxious to see how that plays out. You also have James Thompson Jr., stud defensive lineman, comes in from Wisconsin. Xavier Scott and Gabe Jacques, I think is how you say his name. I could be wrong on that. Those guys should all headline this defense. I'm 10-2, fellas. Nolan, where are you at with Illinois football? Ohio State and Washington are who I gave the losses to, by the way.
I go back and forth because everybody's got them as their dark horse contender this year. And that automatically makes me not want to pick them to try and beat the over, to try and get to the Big Ten championship game, to get to the college football playoff. But then looking at their schedule, I don't know.
It's manageable, dude.
This schedule's easy. It's
an easy schedule.
Yeah, this is a cruise control schedule for sure.
Let's talk about this real quick since you're talking about it, Nolan. You don't draw Oregon. You don't draw everybody's going to say Michigan. You don't draw a Michigan. We just talked about how much we love Nebraska. You don't draw Nebraska. You draw an Ohio State football team. And you draw a Washington, who I think, spoiler alert, Washington's really good, like quietly. So this is a really manageable schedule. You have an Indiana and a USC and a Duke. I mean, you could win all those football games.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. I don't remember what you guys had Duke at. I thought you guys were both over on Duke.
I was over on Duke, but I had Illinois. I went back and looked at my notes. I had Illinois beating Duke.
Okay. I could be talked into it either way. I feel like their line is pretty true. I could go one game over. I could go one game under. I think it's going to come down to some quarterback play. truthfully. I know that's kind of the cop-out answer for most teams, but I think it's really going to come down to quarterback play. Can he take another step forward? Because he bailed him out a lot last year.
A lot.
Him and Pat Bryant together at the end of the fourth quarter, middle of the fourth quarter, every big play you needed, it never ever failed. They always got it. Their luck's got to turn somehow, some way, someday. Is this the year without Pat Bryant, or can Luke Altmaier continue doing it by himself?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you real quick. Do you think quarterback play is the X factor because of the lack of talent at the receiver position around him, or because you have some Luke Altmaier questions? Brian, I see you nodding your head. I mean, that is my only fear is who's getting the ball for them.
Who's he going to throw to? I mean, there's not a single tight end wide receiver on this offense that hardly has any experience. So, I mean, teams are going to key in on the run and pin their ears back and rush the passer. He's not going to have. They have a good offensive line, but Altmaier has to carry this team. I'm personally on the under, just because of that fact. Their defense also needs to improve drastically from last year. They did not get any pressure on the quarterback whatsoever, and were subpar against the run. Yeah, they got some guys in the transfer portal, but it was Power 5 transfers from other teams like the guy from Wisconsin that also weren't overly productive where they were at recently. So, but Brett Bielema is a decent coach. He's a Big Ten guy. This is a very easy schedule, so he could easily go over. But I'm comfortably at the over-under. I got them only at 7 wins, but that's just me. I just think there's too many questions on offense. And Altmaier, he was a great quarterback, but he did show some signs of, faulting under pressure. And he doesn't have the Franklins and the Pat Bryants this year to bail him out.
I guess one thing, and I'm anxious to see what you guys have to say about this. One thing that I took into consideration is when you have this good of an offensive line and you have this manageable of a schedule, I don't see any of these teams on their schedule where I look at their defense and I'm like, oh, damn, like they may get home. Do you have to? I mean, I get it. You want really good receivers to throw the ball to. But do you have to have a loaded receiver core when you have a really good offensive line like this? You're not playing a whole lot of good defense. Let's not forget they're playing Ohio State, who's the best defense they're going to play, and they're replacing all of their defensive line. So it's all new faces for the Ohio State defensive line as well. If you can keep a quarterback upright, a receiver is bound to break loose somewhere. Whether it's 5 yards, 10 yards, 15, there is going to be a receiver that gets loose at some point in time. That is why I took this into consideration, because I think Luke Altmaier can honestly make all the throws, and I think they can keep him on his feet. That's why I highlighted this offensive line. That's the only reason I went this direction, because I look back at the schedule. None of these defensive fronts are that good that they play. That was my take on this. Dave?
I do like their offensive line, though. That's where I'm flip-flopping.
I mean, it's a mainstay. They're going to have to hang their hat on that.
They're going to have to run the ball like crazy.
Yeah, and then losing Josh McCray is scary. Dave, be the icebreaker on this.
I mean,
not a convincing start, Dave.
No, I mean, I'm just like I was really on board with you, Colin. Then the more I hear the conversation, I'm like, shit, I don't know. I didn't think about it that way, Man, this is one of those just toss-ups where I'm like, I don't know.
Well, so let's talk like this then. Since we're kind of all him-hawing around, I'm comfortably on the over, Bryant's comfortably on the under, you and Nolan are kind of in between. Bryant, what did you have as swing games? Because I had Duke, USC, Ohio State, Washington as swing games. Ohio State, 95% going to be a loss. So Washington, Duke, USC for me.
My thing is – oh, go ahead, Bryant.
I had Washington, Wisconsin, USC, and Indiana as swing games.
Okay.
Good question for you guys. Betting on the under/over. I think if they split Duke, Indiana, if you go 1-1 in those 2 games, I think you'll hit the over. I think if you can't find a way to get either Duke or Indiana, you're going to be under. So can I, after that Illinois-Duke game, can I still bet the over/under win total, or does it have to be right before the season?
I'm not. Don't quote me on this, but I'm 97% sure you can only preseason bet win totals.
Okay.
DraftKings.
I think it's going to hinge on those 2 games.
Well, in DraftKings and FanDuel, they've came a long way, so maybe they do some in-season win total live betting on the win totals. That may be a thing, and if so, hell, we need to do an episode where we revisit it, because I like that idea.
Your odds are going to be whacked, though.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to be heavily juiced one way or the other. More than likely the way that you're probably leaning.
Yep.
So, Dave, wrap it up. Tell us what you got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go the over. But again, it's Illinois, so they could drop a Duke. They could drop Duke and Indiana. I mean, they could drop a Purdue. It's Illinois. I mean, they could beat Ohio State one week and then the next week go and lose to Purdue. So I'm going to go the over and just trust that Illinois has got it figured out now. But we'll see. I'm excited for this year. I think there's going to be a lot of good matchups, and there's going to be a lot of. I don't know that there's any team that I'm like they're going to win it all. You know, I think there's a lot of good teams across the board.
The Big Ten's kind of open. Like, that's why I was saying at the intro of this. There's a lot of parity. Like, a lot of question marks with Ohio State, a lot of question marks with Oregon, a lot of question marks with Michigan. Like, it leaves the door open for some of these teams to take it over or make a run if they really want to. Brian, did you have something else?
Yeah, and Brett Bielema, I mean, he's notoriously very bad in big football games when his quarterback was not Russell Wilson. That might play a factor. He's obviously, I think, gotten better. I mean, he was horrible at Arkansas, but he was pretty good at Wisconsin. So he needs to take a step two, in my opinion, to make this team go over and be the team that you guys think they are.
This is his guy that he can hang his hat on, though. Like, I'm not saying Luke Altmaier's Russell Wilson, but, like, Luke Altmaier's a really good college football quarterback. Like, I would feel comfortable if he was at the helm of any team that I liked, honestly. I personally don't like that he's on a team that I can't stand. Like, I think he's pretty good. Okay, moving on from Illinois. We're split on that one. That's going to be one of ours. Probably stay the hell away from that one. That can go all. That's got +2 games, -2 games, any direction, wrote all over it. Moving on to Wisconsin, fellas. This is a team that needs to find it, and I just don't.
It's not going to happen. There is no shot. I mean, 8 of their 9 Big Ten opponents were bowl teams last year.
Yeah, they got kicked right all up in the ass on this schedule. The over-under's at 5.5. Overs +125. Stay away from that. The under is -150. Let me highlight some things for you here. Luke Fickell was a really good coach. Can't blame all of this on him here at Wisconsin and his new tenure there. He's been there for a couple of years now. The number 14 portal class, though, I mean, hey, if you want to hang something on something, 5-7 last year. A whole new quarterback room. I do not love that. You have 3 transfers and a freshman. You have Billy Edwards Jr. from Maryland, who was average at best. Danny O'Neal from San Diego State, average at best. So don't love this. I'd project Billy Edwards is going to be the starter. Didn't quite reach 3,000 yards from Maryland last season. Ricardo Hellman, their best player on defense. This defense is littered with transfers. Fellas, I don't like anything about this football team.
No, I mean, I'm comfortably on the under here. I got them at 4 wins. Luke Fickell's a good coach. I mean, you saw what he did with Cincinnati.
Yes, loaded with NFL talent.
They were also loaded, but he's not trash by any means.
That's my question. Is he actually a good coach? Or are we just giving him the 2021 Cincinnati team that ended up having, 6 NFL players start for him? Are we just giving him the benefit of the doubt?
And you had 2 of the top cornerbacks in football that year. So
other than that team, when is his other good teams? I'm not sure that he's a good coach, average coach. Sure. People talking about better than average. I'm not sure we can give it to him, man. I'm not sure.
With you, Nolan. I think he's on one of the hottest seats in the country, too.
Because Wisconsin's a team that notoriously has been kind of like the Minnesota. They're above average good almost every year in and year out. And they have to get the running game going this season. Last year, or the last 2 years under Fickell, they're 12-0 when they run over 150 yards. If they have less, they're 1-13.
True.
And then so if they can get that, I think they're going to. I mean, I don't know if they're going to get it this season because this schedule. I don't know who has something out for them, but this is bad.
When 2 of your easiest games outside of Miami, Ohio, and Middle Tennessee, erase those. But when your 2 easiest games is like Maryland, Minnesota, and then I'll throw in an Indiana in there and Illinois, like, dude, that's a bad schedule.
Yeah, it's tough. So they're going to have to run the football and lean on that and take the pressure off whoever the quarterback's going to be. and maybe get some downfield passing off of play action from that. But I don't see it. This is comfortably on the under.
Third game of the season, they travel to Alabama to get punched right in the mouth.
Yeah.
I don't understand who scheduled that game for them.
This is just such a bad pickup out of conference. Don't look. I appreciate it, but you're not wearing the big boy pants enough yet to try to prove something like that. I mean, that's absurd to me. I mean, you play Alabama, Maryland, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. 4-8 at best.
Yeah, I got them winning the first 2 games of the year and no more. I got Maryland beating them. I don't know if you guys looked at Maryland's schedule yet. I was looking at this. They play Florida Atlantic, Northern Illinois, Towson, then Wisconsin. I think they're going to start the season 3-0, bring some momentum into that Wisconsin game. Wisconsin, they just got punched in the mouth by Alabama. I don't think they're going to be feeling very good about themselves. Momentum's a lot in college football. I think they got 2 wins on their schedule. First 2 games of the year, pack it up.
I mean, they did take Maryland's quarterback. That makes you feel somewhat good about it.
I think 4 wins would be like a phenomenal season for them this year. I mean, 4 wins would just be like national championship level for anybody else. Like I'm with Nolan. Like I think they win those first 2, and then after that, none of those games I'm real confident about. Like
I gave them Maryland. I gave them the Maryland game.
I gave them Maryland.
I mean, I could give them Maryland, but even then, that's only 3 wins. Like at best, I can give them 3.
Yeah, still comfortably on the under, but I gave them Maryland just because I think Maryland's got a new quarterback as well with Malik Washington coming in, and he's young. So I'm assuming he's the starter there for Maryland. They're not a very good football team either, but that's a home game. Maybe just trying to be a little positive for Fickle. I don't know how like the donors and the AD and them feel about Fickle and the situation with this schedule. Are we talking a situation where it's possible that he doesn't make it through the season?
Well, maybe it's the donors behind the schedule. Maybe they want him out.
Listen,
maybe. I mean, this is a team that could be on quit watch by like week 7.
Yep.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm sorry, but like if he turns his program around, they need to give him a 10-year contract in this season. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Like,
Dave, if they make a bowl game this season, they should extend him.
Like, there's no way he turns this around. I mean, I hope he does, just because I'm saying there's no way. But like, I don't know how you do it.
Maybe they hit on a lot of these portal guys, and like we said earlier, maybe Michigan's not good. And I'm still trying to find where it's under, man. We're moving on. Moving on. This good luck, Wisconsin. Anybody that's listening to this that's a fan, buckle up. It's going to be a long, stressful, aggravating season, we think, here at DTSN. Moving on to USC. Over under 7.5, over -130, under +110. Lincoln Riley, we've been saying this for a couple years now. It's time to go. It's really time to go. I made a big case on our show last year where how does USC get better? You couldn't win with Caleb Williams. What the hell makes you think you're going to win with Miller Moss? They didn't really do all that great. They were 6-6. That's not good for Lincoln Riley. You do have Jaden Maeva coming in at the quarterback position this year. Saw him play a little bit. I do think he's better than Miller Moss, so I think that is actually a step up for USC and Lincoln Riley and the offense they're trying to run there. Jacoby Lane, really good receiver, number 18 portal class. You did lose Zachariah Branch and Deuce Robinson. Woody Marsh is also gone. Keyshawn Silver headlines this defense. He was a transfer in. Nolan, where are you at with USC football?
I got him at 7, coin flip to the 8, depending on how people feel about Iowa. I can't give him a game over that 8 number, though. It's, again, another one that I think is pretty much spot on the money. The coin flip game at Iowa would get him to the 8, which is the over. Coin flip loss to Iowa gets him to the 7 under. I do like them better this year than I like them last year, though. I will say that. And I truthfully think, even though they lost Miller Moss, I think their offense is going to be better. Even though they lost their 2 5-star receivers out of their class 2 years ago, I think their offense is going to be better. One of their receivers last year, he's the guy that went to Georgia. His name is slipping my mind, he kind of played like a kick returner out there. You throw him a screen, and he had to try and figure out some space.
Yeah, one of the Branch brothers.
Yes, Zachariah Branch.
Zachariah Branch.
He looked like a kick returner out there, trying to find some space, trying to find a lane. It wasn't an actual route. Deuce Robinson never really lived up to the hype of what he was supposed to be. I think they're two top receivers this year. I think they're legit receivers. They can run routes, they can get open. And I look for them to take a step forward, but it's tough getting them to the 8th, 9th win with staring at teams like Illinois. We just talked about how good we think they're going to be. Notre Dame, how good we think they're going to be. Oregon, how good we think they're going to be. It's just tough to get them there. Depends how you feel about Michigan too, I guess.
Yeah, I think Woody Marks is their biggest loss. To your point, like to back you up on that. Dave, Bryant, where are you guys at with USC?
I'm going to take the under. I don't. Again, I'm with you. Like, Lincoln Riley defense seems to always be some sort of an issue. It was an issue at Oklahoma. I don't know why like no one's like addressing this. Like, hey, like he can develop quarterbacks and he tends to score a lot, but he also gets scored on a lot. Not to mention, Oregon, Illinois, Notre Dame, and Nebraska, I think are like are pretty much for sure losses. Especially like Nebraska was kind of one of my coin toss games, but like just having that conversation about Nebraska earlier. I'm more confident that Nebraska can win this game against USC. Notre Dame is always going to be a hard team. Illinois, they're going to be good, and then Oregon's going to be good. So that's 4 losses for sure. And then outside of that, kind of like Nolan said, Iowa could probably be a loss. They could even slip up against somebody like, I don't know, UCLA. They just seem to be that team that like somehow always loses that one game that they shouldn't lose. And it seems to be a common theme with Lincoln Riley in general.
Yeah.
So
Brian,
I don't know.
Go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, with the amount of money you pay him to go there, I don't know how you don't expect. I would expect results a lot faster.
Yeah, for sure. No, without doubt.
I'm right there with Nolan around the 7-8 wins. I have them covering at 8. Personally, I think outside of Notre Dame, Oregon, and Iowa, this is a favorable schedule. I think the offense will be better this year. Defense obviously needs to step up. I did a little deep dive in USC because, these guys should be better. They always have the dudes. They lost out of 4 games they lost last year. They had a missed field goal in all 4 of those games. And 4 of those games, 3 of them they lost by less than 3 points. So if they make that field goal, we're talking about a whole different USC team last year. And so nobody talks about special teams much, but that's a pretty big stat in my opinion. So I don't know if that's going to change. I don't think USC probably pays a whole lot of attention to their kicker.
USC did bring in a new kicker, though. They
did. I can't remember his name.
But Caden Chittenden, I think. Chittenden.
Yeah, he was very good. So that's a stat to watch. But I have them losing Notre Dame, Oregon, Iowa, and Michigan. But I think they take care of the rest of the teams. I mentioned earlier I have them beating Nebraska on the road. I think you did too, Collin. And then your only other swing game there is Michigan. So I could easily see him being barely a bowl team again. But Lincoln Riley's on the hot seat. He knows he's got to win. So now is the year.
Couple things. Look at Dave throwing out kicker names off the top rope there. Love that. Bear Alexander, can I refresh anybody that he transferred again? He's gone. Can you believe it? No, that's absolutely astounding to me. This guy's transferred like every year of high school and college. Impressive. I have them at 8-4. I have them losing to Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame, Oregon. I think we can all align that they are 95% going to drop the Notre Dame, Oregon game. I think from there, like we've all mentioned, the Illinois, the Michigan, the Nebraska, the Iowa, those 4 games, if you just split that and go 2-2, you're sitting at 8-4. I think outside of that's very, very manageable. Let's not forget we were all really high on Nebraska. Bryant, you're right. We did both give them the Nebraska game. Sprinkle that in there. They very easily could win that or lose that Nebraska game. So then at that point, for my record's sake, you would have to pick up an Iowa – you'd have to pick up an Illinois or a Michigan. looking back at this now, if I'm going to do this over again, that we've talked about everything, I'm probably going to give them the nod against Michigan, and maybe give them a loss against Nebraska. That still brings it back to 8-4. I think 8-4 is very, very manageable, and I think anything less than that, I think we're having an even more serious and deeper conversation about Lincoln Riley with the money that he's making at USC. I mean, he's at the end of his rope. I think it's got to be 8-4 or better, or they're having some serious conversations about doing away with Lincoln Riley.
Another stat for you after Bryant gave you the field goal stats. Miller Moss had 9 picks last year. 6 of them came in the second half. 3 of them came in the fourth quarter. That's where they lost those one-score games.
Yep.
The field goals and the interceptions.
Yeah, it was like they were shooting themselves in the foot. It's not like they were getting blown out.
So if Miller Moss isn't there and you got a quarterback that, Collin, you said you think he's more talented, right?
Absolutely. I think Maeva is actually a much better quarterback than Miller Moss.
I don't even know if you need more talented. You just need somebody that's going to take care of the football at the end of the game.
Yep.
Don't throw a pick. And 1/3 of your interceptions in the fourth quarter of the game, that's not a way to win football games, boys.
No, now that you guys bring those two stats to light, I really feel okay about 8-4. So, I mean, and like my thing with this is, yes, you can coach to not throw interceptions, right? You can coach to not miss field goals, but you can't control interceptions and field goals from 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. You as a coach are not out there. So it tells me that he was putting his team in a position to win football games. They just were not sealing the deal and taking care of it. Gives me a little bit more confidence in Lincoln Riley. This is just not what we're used to with Lincoln Riley. And also now you're in the Big Ten, and it gets a little bit tougher. So I think they can get to 8-4. And I think they have a higher ceiling, but they got to really hit. I think they have a really low floor if they don't hit. I mean, this is a wide margin football team, in my opinion. Everybody good on USC?
Good.
Yeah.
Moving on to Big Ten powerhouse Rutgers. They're over under sitting at 5.5, over -125, under +105. I'm actually a little shocked the over is the favorite play on this. I don't like it at all. Greg Schiano there at coach, 7-5 last year. Mainly 7-5 in my opinion because Kyle Monangai was an absolute horse out of the backfield for them last year. No longer there. Ethan Callum-McManus, I don't believe. I think he played a pretty good season last year, so that helped to 7-5. This whole defense is transfer starters for the most part. I expect a pretty good regression on this football team. Dave, where are you at with Rutgers football?
I'm gonna go the under, man. I mean, it's kind of not a fun schedule. I mean, we've talked about other team schedules being pretty hard, but Rutgers has to go to Oregon. They play Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Illinois. I mean, those are losses for sure. Like, let's be real. There's no shot that they win those games. And then they still have a couple other games that I don't think they're going to win either. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. I mean, their quarterback's decent. He wasn't I think he came over from Minnesota. But, again, I think they're an average team with a really crappy schedule. So that's what's going to hurt them. I don't think they're trash, but their schedule is not helping whatsoever. I think if they had a lighter schedule where maybe they played 2 of those 4 teams that I just mentioned, I think they do a little bit better and get close to maybe a bowl. Well, I just think everything just went wrong for them this year. I mean, they're.
I mean, if you could draw a Northwestern instead of an Illinois, I mean, even you. Yeah, you play Iowa, Minnesota, Washington, Oregon, Illinois, Ohio State, Penn State. I mean, and your draws from conference play that you have a chance in is Purdue and Maryland.
Yeah.
And I gave them both of those. I mean, I'm at 5-7. I mean, you're out of conferences, Ohio, Miami, Ohio, and Norfolk State. Good Lord. You better be 3-0 going to play the Iowa game. I mean, or you're in serious ass trouble. So I'm on the under as well. I'm at 5-7. Bryant, Nolan, what do you guys have with Rutgers?
I got them under 5 as well. They did lose Kyle Monangai, but they replaced him with some decent running backs and C.J. Campbell and Antoine. I can't remember his last name. Can't remember his last name, but they're not bad running backs. They're not Kyle Monangai, but they're going to have to lean on the running back squad on this team. and they're going to have to score some points because this defense is riddled with transfers. Their entire starting defensive line is all transfer portal guys and mid-major dudes. So I agree with Dave. They have a pretty tough schedule, but I think they're going to get 5 wins just because of how easy their buy-in games are, and then they draw Maryland and Purdue, which I think they'll win those games. How do you pronounce his quarterback's last name?
Antoine Raymond was the running back you're thinking of. Are you thinking
Antoine
of
Raymond?
the quarter? It's about Ethan Calvin McManus.
Yeah, that's how you say
Is
it.
that how you say it? I was just gonna say Ethan K.
Ethan
Yeah,
Calvin
Ethan, I was going to say Ethan K. That's why I was going to ask, how do you pronounce it? But this is his 3rd year starting, so he could be a decent quarterback. They don't have a whole lot of weapons on the outside, so like I mentioned, they're going to lean on the running back this year, kind of like they did last season. But I still think they're only going to get to 5 wins.
I'm saying 4 or 5 wins. You guys said most of it. I will say, if we were looking at the Wisconsin schedule earlier, I think only Big Ten play. I think this is the worst schedule that you can pick. Only Big Ten play. Well, I think we're factoring in the Alabama game for Wisconsin. But if you're telling me I have to play Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Minnesota, Iowa, everybody good, no thanks. I don't want that.
No.
Well, and some people will push back and say you play Oregon and Penn State at home. To me, that's not good because you're not. I'm a firm believer if you're playing a team that's much better than you and you're an okay team, you're not going to win that game at home or on the road. So give me those games on the road, and then let me play Minnesota at home, a game that I might have a chance in. Let me grab Illinois at home. I'd rather play Illinois at home than Oregon or Penn State. So, yeah, I mean, they could maybe win the Minnesota game to get them to 6, and that's if you win Purdue and Maryland. But you play that game on the road. So 80% of the time, you're not beating Minnesota, Rutgers. I hate to say it. So I think we're all on the under on this. This is the one that we align on. The under being so low is one of those, though, that, like, I don't ever want to bet this, and here's why. Because they come out of the gate 3-0. So right there, you can only afford as a bettor to lose, for them to only win, or they can only win 2 more games. Well, at that point, you have 9 more football games. So that is where, you're kind of clenching your ass cheeks a little bit. You're like, they can only win, 3 more games. And let's say they do beat a Minnesota, and now they're 4-1. Things don't look great. So stay away from this because it is so low, but I'm pretty comfortable that it will hit on the under.
I don't know, bringing it back to our in-season win total betting, if you're a risky guy, let him go 3-0 and then hammer the under. Get some better odds for yourself. I mean, I'm not saying go put $100 on it. Go put $5 on it.
I don't think it would. It'll move a little bit just because they are 3-0, but I don't think it would move a ton because I don't think anybody in Vegas is expecting them to lose any of those 3 games. Good Lord, if they do. Moving on to Penn State. Penn State is sitting at 10.5, the over plus 125, the under minus 150. Anybody that follows our show, anybody that knows anything about college football, Penn State fans are championship or bust right now. It is all the way in. I was all the way in on them before the season started the last season. I'm a firm believer in them still this year, but I'm actually a tick in the opposite direction of what this fan base is thinking. I might have been a year too early on them, but I'm regressing myself. James Franklin, I have been on record many a time saying I'm not a lover of him. No one is a lover of James Franklin. We will have many discussions about him throughout the season, I'm sure. Hey, when it comes to James Franklin, he is a very consistent coach. He wins the games he's supposed to win, and that's better than a lot of coaches out there do. You just got to prove me one time that you can go win a game that you're maybe not supposed to win. So, great season. We all remember what they did. We all remember the Drew Aller interception that kind of ended this season for him, too. I've been on record being a huge Drew Aller lover. I'm on record now. The old me was wrong. The new me is right. I'm trending the opposite direction on Drew Aller. I'm rocking the boat the other side. They lose Tyler Warren. You do have Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. You do have Luke Reynolds and Khalil Dinkins at tight ends, who those guys are very consistent, very damn good. You have Zane Durant kind of looking to be the next big thing on this defense. Denia Dennis Sutton looking to be the next big thing on this defense. You lose Abdul Carter. You do still have question marks at the receiver position. Fellas, this Penn State team, they're kind of all over the place. You lose a ton, you replace a ton. Are they better at receiver? I hope so. But Tyler Warren, man, that's just a hard guy to replace. But also, Drew Aller is still there. Nolan, you love James Franklin. Tell me about Penn State.
Big fan. I got him hitting the over, but I think it's going to come down to some defense. All the teams this year, there doesn't seem to be one single team that will check every single box that you want to for a championship team. Everybody's got a question mark. And I think Penn State's question mark, can they get their next superstar out of the two you just named? I got a list here. They went Micah Parsons, Chop Robinson, Abdul Carter. Dudes that just take over games and can carry a defense. Will get you a big sack, a pass deflection, whatever you need in the big moment, and they will maybe not save you, but they're going to keep momentum on your side. They're going to keep the offense out of the end zone. Do they get that this year?
I mean, Abdul Carter ate a 5-course meal against SMU.
Yep.
To your point, they just take games over.
I love the offense. I think they're going to outscore nearly everybody on the schedule this year. Nearly everybody. It's just, can you stop them? College football has become the way you stop an offense, you have to get a sack. You have to throw the offense off schedule. Can you get a sack in the big moment and put them instead of a 2nd and 6? Can you put them at a 1st and 16 or a 2nd and 16 and really make them start getting out down to the bottom of the playbook?
Yeah, 3rd and 8+ is really the key.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bryant, Dave, where are you at?
Penn State screams at me a team that's probably not going to beat their over. I have them at 10, but I think they're still going to make the college football playoff. I think they lose to Oregon and Ohio State. I think those two teams are just better overall. Nolan, who'd you have them beating out of those two?
I gave them a coin flip. Oregon, Ohio State, doesn't really matter. They're going to beat one of the two. I have them splitting and then lose the other one. So
it's entirely possible.
To fall in line with you two, obviously I have them at 11-1. I gave them Oregon losing to Ohio State. Mainly, look at the home and away part of it. That's the only reason I did it. That game is pretty early for Oregon. It's mid-season actually. But Dante Moore going into Penn State, going into Happy Valley, buddy, he might feel his cleats full of shit. I mean, he's going to be shitting down both legs. And this is going to be an electric environment. So that's the reason for that. And Ohio State, Julian Sand gets to stay at home, gets to have the crowd on his side. That's why I went this direction.
Yeah, I think the key here is, like Nolan mentioned, defense. If they can control that side of the ball, they're going to win a bunch of games. And can we see a wide receiver step up this year? I mean, last year it was hand the ball off or throw it to Tyler Warren. They don't have Tyler Warren anymore. They got some guys, as you mentioned, at tight end that are pretty good. Who's going to step up a wide receiver and make some plays for them and be a guy that can take some pressure off Allen and Singleton in the backfield and Drew Aller? I think if they find somewhat of a receiver and keep up the defensive play that they have under James Franklin, they're going to be in the college football playoff easily, in my opinion.
People keep talking about Kyron Hudson coming in. I think their sneaky get at receiver is Devontae Ross. He was near 1,000 yards coming in from Troy. I think that might be probably their best receiver option. Does Drew Aller get him the ball? Do they throw the ball down the field? Does Andy Kotelnicki tell Drew Aller, let go of the football, throw it down the field? I think that unlocks them to, if they can if they can just do that and keep a defense off balance a little bit rather than knowing they're keeping it in front of the sticks. If you can take a top off every once in a while, that truly could make this Penn State fan base's dreams become a reality, and they could go 12-0. But they also could come in here and look like Penn State does and go 10-2. Maybe even 9-3. I mean, we all love Nebraska. So, I mean, I think they're in that range, but I do have them going 11-1 as well. Dave, you on the over?
Yeah, I think they're going 11-1. I mean, their schedule, when you look at it, I mean, yes, they play Oregon and they play Ohio State, but Oregon's a home game, and then they get a week off before Ohio State. And then their whole first month is at home. And then I think from August to like mid-November, they only have like one road game. So like it's really not that bad of a schedule. I mean, yes, it is Oregon, it is Ohio State, but it's kind of a good setup where you're playing Oregon at home, but you have a week off before Ohio State to prepare. Your guys are not beat up. You should be pretty fresh. You should be locked in. I do think that like James Franklin, his bare minimum expectation should be one loss, and that's it. Like anything more than one loss is, hey, maybe do we look a different direction as a university?
I mean, they can't. Yeah, this is what the problem for them is their expectations are so damn high this year, and the reason their schedule also looks manageable is because Penn State can't play Penn State, so Penn State's not on Penn State's schedule. So you lose a perennial contender in the Big Ten right there, but you do pick up Oregon and Ohio State. So when you do take a first glance, it's like, oh, okay, you got 2 tough games. Like we said, we think better things than Nebraska. So anxious to see how this plays out. Penn State's one of those teams too. High expectations. Sometimes you come up short. More times than not, to be honest with you.
Tell you what, I was debating that Iowa game though. The week before the bye week, and then you got Ohio State after.
I gave it a coin flip.
That screams a trap game to me. I'm at 11-1. I mean, if you're overlooking Iowa, they're not going to be bad. I think they're going to be better than they were last year, and they were a better than average team last year. That's the way I think you get to 10-2. Like I said, I think you split Oregon, Ohio State. I think Iowa's the game. If you're not going to hit the over, it's because of Iowa.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Big money on the under too. So, that says something. I think the under, people are betting it at 10 wins. So I think 10 wins is the comfortable floor for this team.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Moving on to Purdue. Whew, okay. Purdue sitting at 2.5.
Barry Odom, baby.
The over is somehow heavily juiced to -180. The under is +150. 111 last year, fellas. You do bring in Barry Odom. I've seen very little highs from Barry Odom, and I've seen a lot of lows from Barry Odom. Barry Odom was good at UNLV, though. Give him credit where it's due. Ryan Brown at quarterback. Not much on him. Not much on this team. This team is littered with transfers at just about every position, and unfortunate to say, not any good ones. So I'm going to keep it brief for me on Purdue. 2-10. You win Ball State. You win SIU. You don't win a game from there on out. Pack it up. Hit the bus. Hit the showers. It's over.
Boys, they got 50 transfers. 50 transfers and 15 incoming freshmen. That's practically like 90% of the roster.
Sounds like a Dion team.
Yeah, but
Dion's team looks better than this, man.
Yeah. I mean, man, this is – I literally just – in my notes, all I wrote was tough. That was it. Like, I was just like, I don't know. I wanted to, me being me, I wanted to be that guy and be like, there's something positive about this. So I'm like, but there's not.
There's not. There's
nothing.
Dude.
I mean, and I don't want to be that guy already, but they will be the worst team in this conference.
They are arguably the worst Power 4 team in the country.
They're right there, man. There's no Rondale Moore walking the halls of this team anymore. Drew Brees is long gone. This team is 2-10 at best.
I mean, Hudson Card's not even there anymore.
No.
I'll sum it up for you boys. In the NIL era, take the check, take the loss, move on.
Yep,
move on, dude.
Absolutely.
Cash them. Try to find something positive.
Hey, fund the basketball program.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. I mean, what a hard job for Barry Odom to come. I mean, this is.
I would have stayed in Vegas, man.
Yes, man, without a doubt. This is really. Listen, all 4 of us watch a ton of college football. All 4 of us are ball knowers. We dissect this shit from top to bottom, from every angle people don't even think about. I'm going to admit something that's. I don't know if it's embarrassing right now. I know like 2 players on this roster. Seriously.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because 65 of them just came in this year.
Yep.
I mean, good luck. Moving on.
Moving on to bigger and better things.
Bigger and better things. We're going to wrap this part 1 episode of Big Ten win totals up with Oregon. The Big Ten conference winner last year, the 1 seed, got punched right all up in the mouth. I think the playoffs did them dirty with the way things set up, and then the reseeding, not having that, and how all that played out. We did an episode on that. But Oregon sitting at 10.5. The over is +110. The under is -130. Fellas, I could go on for a long time about this Oregon team. I'm going to keep it brief. I'm going to save a lot of the big names and a lot of the talking points for you guys. Dan Lanning, fantastic coach. 12-0 last year. Dante Moore, 5-star high school quarterback, comes in from UCLA. He's going to be a first-time starter, though. First-time full-time starter, I should say. Ja'Cory Moore, one of the top-ranked wide receivers in the 2025 class. Absolute game changer at the receiver position. Malik Benson from Florida State. You guys can kind of take it from there. You do bring in the top transfer offensive tackle, too, in Isaiah World. I mean, I could continue to go on. Somebody take this over, talk highly of Oregon, and tell me where you're at. Actually, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah. One question I do have about Oregon is, who is their starter? Do we know who their starter is?
Dante Moore. Should be Dante
right?
Moore.
Do we have confirmation of that, or is this just what we're all assuming?
No confirmation. It's just pretty positive it's going to lean that way.
Yeah. I mean, he came in last year, and like there were talks he was making a push to play over. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name from last year, but obviously we all knew that probably wasn't going to be the case. It was going to be a learning year for him again. If he doesn't start this year, Dante Moore might be a bust, and I don't want to jump to that because I think he is the guy, but there's no way he doesn't start for Oregon this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Oregon maybe 2 losses. That Penn State game will be a big like deciding factor there too. I that's one of those where it's 100% of 50-50. I have no idea how that game's going to go. So I only see them maybe having 2 losses at best. But again,
so you're on the under then at 10-2.
I'm gonna go the over. Dan Lanning, it's a good dude. Watch the documentary about him. Seems like an amazing guy.
Loves to rip cigars after dubs. Nolan?
Really?
Where are you at?
I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth again. Looking at their schedule, it's the Indiana. It is the Indiana, and it is the pulling it up here.
Indiana, Iowa, USC, Washington.
Yep. Nope, Indiana, Iowa. That's the 2 games I'm looking at that I think the Evan Stewart loss is going to be bigger than people think. Yes, they're loaded, front to back, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Truthfully, their whole team. You don't even have to go position by position.
Dude, Mekhi Hughes, the running back from Tulane coming in, that is a massive get.
They are absolutely loaded, and they have monsters on the line of scrimmage. Like I talked about at the beginning of the episode, that's how you build a true good program in the NIL era. Monsters along the line of scrimmage. It's just, I think I'm giving them a coin flip between Iowa and Indiana. I think they're going to drop one of the 2. They didn't drop a single one. The ball bounced their way every single time last year. That explains the 12-0. College football is mostly skill, mostly coaching, yes. But those fumbles, those turnovers, some of that is luck. And they were on the good side of luck last year. I think it's going to turn around. I think it's going to be the bad side of luck this year. I'm not saying injury history or injuries or anything like that. I'm just saying the ball bounces one time the wrong way. It keeps a team in. Iowa, Indiana is not a team you want to just let hang around. So I'm going to be under at 10-2.
Okay.
I'm losing to Penn State.
Bryant, where are you at? Can't hear you.
You're on mute, brother.
Yeah.
Damn.
There you go.
Hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
It wasn't showing I was on mute. Sorry about that. I was saying I think this team is easily covering 11-1, 12-0. I think their only swing games are the way of games at Penn State and Iowa. I think they could easily win both of those games. Not easily as in they aren't easy games, but I think they're the better team in both of those games. I do think, and you mentioned it, the Evan Stewart loss is massive. I think you could argue him as one of the best receivers in college football coming into the season. That dude is extremely talented. But Dan Lanning's such a good coach. He knows how to win. Like Nolan mentioned, their offensive and defensive line are top notch. It's going to be hard to bet against these guys. Surprised this over is plus money. I wouldn't say go take that, but it is something to look at. I think Oregon cruises to 11-12 wins, 11-2 or 12 wins, and is in the playoff again.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I have Oregon at 11-1. I hear the Indiana and the Iowa conversation. I think Oregon's just a much better talented roster than Indiana and Iowa both. And I think they're a much more talented roster than USC. That was another game that I kind of had them in there a little bit where it's going to be a little tougher of a match for them. A team that I think, and we'll get to this in our next episode because they're on it, but a team that I think everybody is sleeping on is Washington. I mean, this is where they wrap their season up against Washington. I think Washington's a sleepy, good football team. I mean, I think this is one that's going to sneak up on a lot of people. I would not want to see Washington on my schedule if I was a team, especially with high expectations. I think they're going to have really good quarterback play. So I think this Washington team can give them fits. And outside of Penn State, that was the only game that I gave them a coin flip against. And two, it's a rivalry game. It's the last game of the season. You know, where are we at? So I had them at 11-1 with that coin flip game against Washington. So 10-2 is very much so in play. Hell, I think 9-3 is in play on this, but so is 12-0. I would be more inclined to say they go 12-0 before I say they go 9-3. I just think it all completely circles back to what do you get out of Dante Moore? If he is your starter when it is confirmed, what do you get from him? Because he was a highly touted guy out of high school, showed all the talent in the world at all these camps he went to. I'm just nervous as to why he hasn't started yet, right? I mean, I have a little bit of those concerns. Like, if you're so damn good, why have you not played yet? I know you've been behind a little bit of talent, but, man, that's my only concern. And I also don't love that they haven't named him the starter yet. Maybe that's just Dan Lanning's way of getting more out of him, because I can respect that. Maybe they know inside their walls that he is the guy, but it all comes down to what you get out of Dante Moore. Anybody else have anything on Oregon or the first part of these Big Ten teams that we talked about today? Everybody good?
I'm good. I think we covered it pretty well. There's some brutal schedules. I think there's also some gettable schedules on the teams we talked about today. We'll see where we come with the rest of the teams, the 9 rest of the teams next week. Still crazy to think there's 18 teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah. So tons of parity in this conference, though. I think this can go a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of question marks. Our episode 2 will be next week. Should come out Thursday or Friday of next week. Remaining, we have Iowa, Maryland, Indiana, Michigan State, Washington, UCLA, Michigan, Northwestern, and we will wrap it up with Ohio State. This does conclude episode 1, part 1 of Big Ten win totals. Talked about this at the beginning of our episode. Make sure you're looking for us in the Pick 6 Previews magazine. We're going to be on the Missouri Tigers page. You will see our logo and everything that we represent down there. You can grab some information from us there. Also, we are on Apple Podcasts now. That was a big move for us. A lot of people were talking about, hey, we would love for you to be on Apple. I don't always get on YouTube, and I don't have Spotify. So we are on Apple as well now. Between YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, there should be no excuses as to why you can't come listen to us. So looking forward to those big changes. With you tonight, you had Dave, Bryant, Nolan, and myself. Hopefully we all are here next week to knock out the Big Ten. But until next time, fellas, you can follow us on Apple at Deep Threat Sports, Spotify Deep Threat Sports, YouTube Deep Threat Sports, Facebook at Deep Threat Sports Network, XDT_sports_. Dave, Bryant, Nolan, this has been tons of fun. Until next time, fellas, peace.